The governor from Connecticut, live from Hartford, Connecticut this morning, Governor Ned Lamont. Governor, it is a pleasure to talk to you once again. You are one of 6 Northeast states that are coordinating their responses up and down that Northeast corridor. I want to first get your reaction to what we just heard there from my colleague, Peter Alexander, on that reporting, on that combative news conference last night. First of all, did you watch it? Did you watch that press conference, or do you not watch those at all?
I did not see that portion of it. What I can tell you is the president says what he says, but there is an administration that we're working with collaboratively, and that's the Pence Task Force, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx. They're getting more constructive and more helpful to the governors every day.
All right, but let me just...
The rest of it is a little bit of background noise for me.
Yeah, so I just want to get to that point. I want to clarify something. You heard the president talk about him having that sole authority. Just give us your reaction to that. You obviously cannot agree with the president being the sole power in deciding when states and localities and municipalities open up.
No, Ayman, as you pointed out, all of our regional governors here in the Northeast, we got together by phone, Zoom the other day, yesterday. We're going to work on this on a collaborative basis. Every state is different, but it makes more sense for us to work. Look, we're waiting for the feds to come up with what their thoughts are in terms of testing protocols, getting the agents, and what is an opening up strategy. In the meantime, let's let the states take the lead. We took the lead in terms of social distancing. We're probably going to take the lead in terms of how we get out of this pandemic as well.
All right, so let me pick up on that point about easing the restrictions, possibly even opening up. You said this morning that Connecticut won't be easing restrictions at least before May 20th. Is that the general consensus of the new East Coast Task Force, if you want to call it, or is that subject to change?
Look, this is what I've said. All the superintendents of schools and parents said, can I expect the schools to open up sometime in late April, early May? And I said, I think May 20th is the date we're going to make a determination about whether we complete the school year or we can get something going sooner than that. And obviously, school years impact small business as well. So I think that's a decision point we're aiming towards. And I hope I've got a new task force advisory board of business as well as the scientific community. And they're going to give us guidance as well as the other governors. What is the metrics as we slowly get our state opened again?
Let me pick up on a few things, certainly from Johns Hopkins recently putting out a national plan for the next steps in the fight against the coronavirus. Experts there say the U.S. must implement a robust and comprehensive system to, A, identify all COVID-19 cases, B, trace all close contacts of each identified case, and then ultimately quarantine those exposed. Do you have the tools to do that yet for your state?
No, we do not. We're still waiting for the feds to give approval on the antibody testing and what companies are certified. And antibodies testing will be very helpful in those parts of our state. For me, it's Southern Connecticut, the part closest to New York City, where we have the highest infection rate. In other parts of the state that are more rural and less dense, there we just want to do molecular testing to see who's infected and who's not. So those infected folks can be totally isolated, at least for that 2-week period, so they don't infect others. We can slow the rate of increase there.
Let me talk a little bit about the state of Connecticut. Unfortunately, it has about or more than 13,000 cases of coronavirus, more than 600 deaths. I'm sure yesterday you heard the governor of New York say that the worst is behind us if we keep our hands on the valve. I'm curious to get your thoughts about your state. What are the experts telling you? Is the worst behind us?
I think Andrew Cuomo is right about that. Southern Connecticut, which again is part of that New York pandemic hot zone, I think the worst is behind us. The hospitalization rate is not going up nearly as fast as it was before. And we planned, we got capacity. But remember, the rest of the state is still accelerating. So every state has different hot zones, different regions, and different schedules.
Let me ask you finally, sir, and as again, we go back to that bizarre news conference yesterday. If you had a message to tell the president, I know you're speaking to the vice president and the COVID task force, but if you could tell the president one thing, either through this program right now or privately, what would you tell him about the way he is conducting himself?
I just think that everybody should work through the Pence task force. I think they have the mix of business and scientific people. They have a constructive approach with the governors. We meet a fair amount electronically. And I think let us operate at that operational level. That makes the most sense. We don't need any distractions, and we need the president, the governors, and the mayors all speaking with one voice. Because let's face it, we have a COVID fever now. I'm worried about a little spring fever as things heat up outside and everybody wants to go play. And that would be dangerous if we got that too soon.
Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Why don't you subscribe? It's really easy. Just click on that button down there. And for more news from MSNBC, click on any of these videos here for the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more videos from MSNBC with our newsletters. Head over to msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up.